For anyone who's tackled a DIY painting project or worked with a pro, deciding what colors and finishes to use can be quite challenging. One important factor is how light, whether natural or artificial, will affect the coloration of the room. So, knowing how you're going to use the room is key. Maybe you plan to entertain in the space, or perhaps you're seeking a relaxing retreat. There's virtually no limit to the scenarios. Here's Mark Polo of The Urban Dweller with some tips on how you can paint with light.
The importance of color and light ratio, I do a very simple exercise with a client. I tell them to close their eyes and what do they see? And once they realize they see nothing, they understand the importance of light. And then when they open their eyes, I tell them how we express that light is through color. We have three kinds of light. We have natural light, we have primary light, and we have secondary light. Secondary light has to do with lamps and fixtures. And all of those are very intimate to the design because we have to put those into proportion with the furniture. And also what we're highlighting on furniture, what we're trying to accent. When we talk about primary light, we're talking about hi-hats, spots, and that's for artwork if we're trying to accent a walkway. Then we have natural light, which has to be assessed because there's an amount of light that comes through windows 24 hours a day. You need to assess whether it's a south-facing wall, a south-facing window, a north-facing wall, north-facing window. And that affects the light. North is a bluer light, south is a yellower light. One of the things that I did was to add filtered light and kept shears on the windows so that we have two layers and we can control the way the light comes into the space. When we speak of kitchens and using a kitchen, task lighting is very important, and it is a very layered event. There is the general lighting, then there's specific lighting for under the cabinets that shed light on the counter. Then there's also the island lighting. All of that needs to be put into consideration. We like to balance our reflective surfaces, as in the granites and the wall tiles and the paint. Here in the master bedroom and bath is where light and the play of light on color is the most important. We have several layers of light here. We have a chandelier, which brings in the delicate decorative light. We have movable spots in the ceiling so that when art changes, we can change the light with it. The other thing is we have a fireplace that gives warm lighting, and then other secondary light by the master bed and by the sofas. The master bedroom has turned out to be a spa-like retreat for most people. What we do with lighting is very important in that room because you really would like to have it lit, but you don't want it lit for entertaining. You want it lit for calm, peaceful sleep. In the office, the lighting had to be very specific. It needed to be concentrated on the desk. It keeps you focused. We did lighting around the space so that when you want to take a break, the rest of the room is soft and you can get away from that intense working that you do. The activities in the great room vary quite tremendously when you have a large crowd. If they play pool, the lights are on full blast. All of a sudden, the activity winds up being increased and the noise level is increased, and it has to do with the volume and the light in the space. Conversely, in the great room, when you have a more intimate setting and you're not using the pool table, we use the fireplace and the candles over the fireplace to give more of a mood. The faux finishes specifically in this house were texturized, and also we added subtle colors to them so that the light would then react to those colors and those textures and play with the walls so that you can get a daylight change, an evening change, lots of different moods depending on the activity and the amount of people in the space. When you're shopping for paint in a retail situation, it does become challenging, but you need to depend on the expert in a particular retail outlet. Let them ask you the questions, and then take samples home. Don't rush this process. One of the tips that I always use is that if you've picked a color, just make sure that you step it down a little bit, because most colors people are attracted to tend to be a little too bright to live with in large scale. So make sure you bring it home and test it on the walls first. Time is always of the essence when it comes to doing projects. Our lives are incredibly busy. We do not have 4-day work weeks where we can spend 3 days doing our project. That is why you need to take your time, because it's very difficult to paint a room twice rather than painting one wall twice. And this way you get to understand how you can live with a color that you've chosen. So take your time.